No one knows what's going to be on the market soon. Hi there, pretty people. Hello, Coins Alert. I'm going to show you a clip from Tom Lee. Got a message from the president. Trump is going to talk about history and the first government-run Bitcoin reserve in the US. What did the finance secretary say that made the market go crazy? Hi there, pretty people. Good morning. Let's get to the money-making stuff. All I ask is that you smile at me so that I can spread good vibes. It's time to start, so hit that like button hard. For now, there is a small drop in the market here. XRP is worth $2.12. Because of what's going to happen tomorrow, we only have 24 hours left until the Fed decides what it's going to do. This comes after a small drop this morning. Will interest rates go down? Is it going to make rates go up? There have been rumors going around that the Federal Reserve might start quantitative easing. I'm not sure if this is 100% true. Let's put it aside for a moment. This could be an example of quantitative easing already happening behind the scenes. It could have been one of the things that kept the stock market from going completely down and erased most of the losses we saw in April. If that comes out and the Fed says tomorrow that they've already started this and won't be lowering interest rates, I think the market will be very happy. That's because a lot of people are waiting for quantitative easing and for the Fed to lower interest rates in the future. We've also talked about how it looks like altcoin season won't start until Bitcoin's market share hits around 70%. Today it kept going up. So Bitcoin's popularity is at its best level since March 2021. That's 65%. We talked about the chance of it going up to 70, and it will be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. Today, Bitcoin is either flat or slightly up. It will be interesting to see how this turns out. We heard from President Trump that India agreed to stop putting any taxes on US goods. Let's listen. Such as, it has one of the highest taxes in the world. We're not going to give up. They already agreed to give up. It will be dropped to nothing. They agreed already. They would not have done that for anyone else but me. We are going to write down some numbers and say that our country is open for business. They are welcome to come in and pay in India as an example. Okay, finally there was that, but there was also the fact that Treasury Secretary Bissant said that the US has not been in trade talks with China. Trade ties that are very important. We are in talks with 17 of those trade partners right now. China is a country that we have not yet started talks with. China is being asked to come to the table, but it hasn't happened yet. That being said, it will be very interesting to see what they do as time runs out on the 90-day pause. Do they become more aggressive? Do they try to talk to them? Another thing he said was that a central bank digital currency is a sign of weakness, and he wouldn't want the Fed to use one. In the US, there is no central bank currency, but in the EU, they want to push this and have until October to do so. Yes, steady coins like RLUSD that are made by companies. There are, of course, the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act. I've read and heard that some pro-crypto Democrats are having some issues right now. We will see if it can pass, and if it does, we will have bills that will help the crypto market in the future. We also saw history as New Hampshire became the first U.S. state to pass a law creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This allows the state's treasurer to buy the world's biggest asset directly or through an ETP. As you can see, it had a major victory based on Satoshi's action model policy, which set out a plan for the country. So I've heard of other states, I believe it was Florida and another one, where it didn't pass. But New Hampshire did pass. Going forward, it will be interesting to see how many states actually pass these strategic stocks and how many countries that number will grow. Okay, New Hampshire is a US state in the country. If you have a state like Texas with millions and millions of people living there, this could be very interesting for other countries around the world that might want to join a Bitcoin reserve. On the other hand, Emma Reynolds, the head of the UK Treasury, says no to the National Crypto Reserve because it's not a good plan for us. But the UK told a working group of high-level officials that they wanted to talk about working together with the US on digital assets. You can see that New Hampshire said yes. It looks like the US is moving towards it as a country, but the UK, for example, I know that the UK is number 2 on the channel's viewing list after the US is not. So friends in the UK, you won't be having a strategic Bitcoin store for now. We'll see what happens next. What is the name of the person in charge of the UK Treasury? Doesn't the I don't know. I'm not. You'll tell me in the comments, right? For one thing, you do have an English Prime Minister, right? In the UK, you have the I don't want to talk about the first one. I just got lost for a moment. Don't worry. Time for technical problems. My brain just said, hey, it crashed. Going forward, it will be interesting to see how many countries might do this. Tom Lee did talk about what's going on with Bitcoin recently. Let's listen to it on CNBC. Let me go to the other side and we'll get Tom so we can get a good look at him. Let's go. A big rise in prices. They made it through the Fed raising rates at the fastest rate ever. That's why I think this tax shock is shocked. I think earnings will likely do better than expected. That would be one thing. Then I think the things that were bringing us down have started to rise again, whether it's Bitcoin, Tesla, or the Mag 7. As you know, Bitcoin is now above where it was on April 2nd. What does Bitcoin tell us? I believe it tells us that the S&P will soon rise again and reach 5,800. And that's still a good thing from here. Yes, that was another one of your calls that it would catch up to gold. It was behind in the past. What about some of the right or good calls you've made about Bitcoin? A rise in prices. You can see why Thomas said, hey listen, Bitcoin is telling us that the markets are going to recover and tomorrow will be very important. In the comments I think people will say things like, wow, you're saying it's been 4 years already. Listen, things always go wrong, and the market always changes. It goes up. You bought Bitcoin 4 years ago, right? Yeah, not when it was that high, even if it was, right? Are up a lot, right? You would still be ahead if you bought 4 years ago, even if you were right here at 62,000. Of course, if you bought at 15,000, your positions are now worth a lot more, right? You'd be almost 500% higher in your jobs if you did everything. If you had bought XRP in October or September 2023, you would still be up about 405.35% on your money. The market is always moving and things are always going, right? And things change and move around. And it's very important to remember this, because I keep seeing people in the comments part lose it. People are saying things they maybe wouldn't have said a few weeks or months ago when XRP and Bitcoin were going up. Now that we've had a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of a consolidation or we've been in this downtrend, people are suddenly getting a little more aggressive, and that's fine. You can do that, but you need to know that things change all the time, and it depends on when you spend. You're down if you put money in at the cycle's high point. If you put money into stocks at the bottom of the cycle or when everyone is scared and freaking out, you'll be rich when we hit these notes. It's important to remember that there will always be ups and downs. People who have been watching me for a long time know this. You won't win every deal. If you have more wins than losers over the long term, you will be very, very successful. Note that not every investment will pay off. It is very, very important to understand that this is not financial advice. Before you decide to invest, you should always do your own research. Do not forget that I will never ask you to join something or send me money on social media. They are con artists. If you like seeing my pretty face and hearing my bad dad jokes, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button, and let's try to get 2,000 likes on this video. If you made it all the way to the end, leave a 8 for infinity and beyond in the comments. Thanks for seeing it. I look forward to seeing you again. Let's make a lot of money, as I always say.